We observe the beginning of the events of our story at the headquarters of the Chen family. Ling Chu was very angry that they wanted to fire him since he didn't even touch other people's money, but he was defiantly accused of it. The boy worked tirelessly for 3 months in a row. Not only that, he also exceeded the plan for which he was promised a career promotion. But the second man informed the boy that they have his signature on the transfer of funds, so it is impossible to deny this fact. But the main character was shocked by such meanness because he knew that he did not do this. He was framed and all the money was appropriated by Jin Yin, with whom he had to cooperate before. Jin Yin, who accused our protagonist of a crime, openly mocked him, making fun of the fact that he still uses public transport and smells like street food. The boy, who worked selflessly, could not contain his rage when he heard his address. Jin Yin, unable to withstand the moral resistance of our hero, delivered a very powerful blow, which sent the boy flying from the place where he was standing. Standing in front of him, he began to flaunt his power, which only high-ranking members of society of his type can use. Ling Chu stood up and promised that one day he would definitely succeed in becoming the head of the Long Chen family. He will be the richest man in the world. Then he will definitely buy out this company and first of all fire this vile Jin Yin. At this time, in the headquarters of the Chen family, the doors of the elevator open on the floor where the boys were. The guards who see who is coming out start bowing low, thus showing their respect. The girl with unearthly beauty spoke with her lips, however, that our hero could free him right now. It was a young bridge named Chen Mo. Her beauty was mesmerizing. Ling Chu couldn't believe his eyes. It was his ex-girlfriend, Chen Mo. The guards standing behind the hero were enchanted by the beauty. They knew that this was not an ordinary girl, but the daughter of the richest person in the Long Chen family. Jin Yin pulled on his hypocritical smile and asked the girl why she did not warn him about her visit. That girl repeated in an angry voice that he must go away from here, so that not even a breath of his smell would remain here. He began to sulk like a small child, wondering what exactly he was being kicked out for. The young lady said that he dishonored the future son-in-law of the Chen family with his act. The girl pressed our hero against the wall and said in a passionate voice that their separation was a huge mistake, so you can play the wedding at any time, when only the boy wants. Ling Chu suspiciously asked Chen Mo if she really loved him, if her feelings for him had not faded. That young lady, without giving a clear answer whether she loves or not, said that she really wants his body, gently touching the guy's neck with her hands. Their room was ready for their wedding night. A brilliantly, incredibly romantic atmosphere reigned in it. So Ling Chu became a hostage of the Chen family and was fired about a week later. The boy could not believe that the girl really wanted his body, since they had not seen each other for the past 3 years since their separation. Chen Mo appeared before him in an exquisite autumn dress, being an incredible beauty. Ling Chu really liked her. He admitted that in the last 3 years of their separation, the girl had become much more attractive. Our hero promised the young lady to always love only her and take care of her until the end of his life. Chen Mo looked at the boy with loving eyes and was happy with what she heard. She asked her beloved to close his eyes as she prepared a surprise for him. The boy closed his eyes in anticipation of a sweet kiss with his beloved. The girl unexpectedly took the boy and threw money at him as hard as she could and asked him to get out of her life. Our hero could not expect such a turn of events. Looking at the young lady with a confused look, asked why she did this to him at all, because she wanted to get married so badly. Chen Mo admitted that it was just a show, and the boy shouldn't come near her, not even a step. The girl offered him $100,000 as compensation. This act made the boy very angry. He categorically refused the money. I also wanted to understand why the girl planned such a show and for whom. She wanted to get married. Without thinking long, the young lady used her power against the protagonist, directing all her anger at him. Ling Chu was unable to counter her and was thrown back by the girl's punch. Chen Mo was angry with him because she considered him a traitor, and she would not tolerate betrayal for anything. Our hero did not understand at all why the girl doubted his loyalty, since he had done nothing wrong. Walking down the street, the boy tried to understand why Chen Mo had decided to break up with him 3 years ago, because he was sure that he had done nothing wrong. Late in the evening, the boy returned to his home and tried to open the door with a key. Only he opened the door of his apartment, smelled the aroma of fragrant women's perfume, but when I looked at the edge of the room, I saw the figure of a woman sitting carelessly on his couch. He had never seen this girl. She looked very beautiful. She herself began to confess her love to the boy, and that she finally managed to find him. The boy did not hesitate to ask her what she was doing here and what she needed from him. The girl, looking at our main character with an interested look, said, however, that she was his lover in a past life, and now she has come to repay her debt. The guy was shocked by what he heard. He didn't even know how to properly react to it. After thinking it over again, you will hear that the boy doubted her sanity. About what past life she can talk about, it doesn't exist. Using her beauty, the girl began to tempt the boy to go to bed with her for the wedding night. Hearing such an offer, the boy did not think long and began to run to the door because he did not want to do anything like that. That beauty caught up with him and didn't let him go out the door, reminding him that in the past life they often practiced paired cultivation. Ling Chu couldn't stand it, thinking all her words were complete nonsense, and how could she even think of such a thing? But this young lady took our hero by force, gently holding him by the neck and kissing him. A sharp change in the colors of the environment, and a female figure holding the new moon in her arms, and not a soul around. Ling Chu could not understand what was happening. It was as if his soul had come out of his body. The boy already thought that he had lost his mind after seeing and feeling like that. The soul of the young man still left his body and went to the other world. But from the side, with the eyes of his soul, the boy saw his body being kissed by this girl. The boy did not know where he was. Some unknown figures are circling around him, and there is not even any ground under his feet. Our hero had a feeling that he was about to be torn to pieces. He was in a lot of pain as unknown lightning rays pierced him from all sides. And then something incredibly magical began to happen. The download has started. In the boy's memory were the last events that happened to him. 9999 people were loaded into our hero's memory. It was a very painful procedure for him. Having barely recovered from the experience, he began to understand that he has access to the memory of a huge number of people. So now he knows everything about everyone. 1 month has passed since that moment. In front of the coffin of our hero, there were people saying goodbye to him. He was lying in a coffin dressed in a classic suit. Those who came to say goodbye to him approached the coffin and apologized, thus showing him their respect. Suddenly, a miracle happened. It was as if lightning struck the coffin directly into the body of Ling Chu, who had gone to the afterlife. People who were at that place watched with amazement what would happen next. Amidst the thick smoke, they saw a human-like figure. It turned out that our main character has risen from the dead. His soul returned from the afterlife back to his body, so Ling Chu's life adventures continue. The people who gathered to say goodbye to the deceased were shocked by the fact that he resurrected before their very eyes. The gift of speech was taken away from all of them. A man of the older generation approached the boy, calling him his young son-in-law, and expressing his belief that he would surely be resurrected and would not leave this world just like that. The guy looked at everyone with a strained look, because he didn't want everyone to see his soul returning to his body. The new moon expressed his desire to have a good night's sleep. The man asked his maid to immediately take the young man to his room so that he could rest comfortably. When the girls took our hero to sleep, the man began to reflect on the fact that the heavens had been very generous to his son-in-law, bringing him back from the world of the dead. The daughter of this gentleman asked her father whether she would be married again instead of a prophet, and not with her own consent. From now on, our Ling Chu began to look at the world in a completely different way. Since he was given the gift of reading other people's minds, he could now see through everyone. The maid entered the room to render her services to the guest. The boy was already at this time looking around the apartments of his room. Several very tasty dishes were served to him on the table so that the boy could recover his strength as soon as possible. Ling Chu pounced on the food with a huge appetite. The chicken meat he bit into was incredibly juicy for him. The maid, watching the boy eat, examined him carefully. The girl could not believe that her lady married such a specific personality in the person of our main character. The boy, thanks to his new gift of reading minds, realized that the maid was dissatisfied with him because she considered him unworthy of her mistress and a completely unattractive man. But the main character immediately let her know that he himself did not know why Chen Mo decided to marry him. The girl covered her mouth in surprise. It was unclear to her how the boy could read her thoughts. It was impossible. At this time, the father-in-law of our hero entered the room with the boy and began to yell at the maid to provide her services to the respectable old man. The maid immediately listened to her master and got to work. The father-in-law himself immediately introduced his son-in-law to the old man with whom he had come. The girl began to pour alcohol into Ling Chu's glass so that he would relieve his tension. He thanked her and then asked her to feed him. The servant, with a smile on her face, listened to the boy and went to fulfill his wish. Suddenly, the boy felt someone grab his hand and pull him. Ling Chu took this gesture with hostility and began to think about how to teach this old man, but the grandfather politely apologized for his harshness since he did it by accident. After that, he approached our hero's father-in-law and asked if the boy had any abnormalities on the day of the wedding, to which the father-in-law replied without thinking that he had been in a coma for a whole month. The protagonist noticed that these two were whispering about something. They became very suspicious. Taking advantage of his gift, he immediately began to read the minds of these two. After all, it was not for nothing that they left so that no one could hear them. The old man told the man that someone instilled a lot of spiritual energy into his son-in-law, destroying his perfect compatibility with the ability of Huygen Din. This is exactly what he managed to feel when he touched the boy's hand. Upon hearing this, the father-in-law immediately began to fuss. He excitedly began to ask the old man how this could be fixed and how much it would affect their plan. Grandpa said that he had the potential to somehow become an unsurpassed cultivator, but with his new destructive power, he wouldn't be able to master even the simplest cultivation techniques, let alone more advanced techniques. The boy immediately found out for himself that Chen Mo married him only for her ulterior motives, so now it was clear why she wanted his body. The master of the house directed his gaze at the son-in-law, asking how he was not ashamed to eat his food in this house at all. Ling Chu flew off the chair from his father-in-law's arms and straight to the floor, looked at the offender with surprised eyes. The gentleman approached and aggressively lifted the boy by his clothes, accusing him of insolence and vile deception. But our hero knows his worth. He pushed his father-in-law's hand away from him and blamed him for the deception. Otherwise, why would Chen Mo decide to deceive him to obtain the Huygen Dan ability? The man was furious. It turns out that the guy knew what was hidden in him and how he was able to deceive everyone like that. That boy, mocking his father-in-law, let him know that he could lose his potential on the first wedding night, since he was no longer a virgin thanks to his daughter. But he didn't take our hero's words seriously, especially since he knew that Chen Mo had left him on the first wedding night, so virginity is of no use at all. So the owner decided to put such a son-in-law outside the door of his house, calling his security. He was amazed at how he had been deceived by this boy. Lin Chu fully listened to his angry father-in-law and decided to go alone without the help of guards, since he could no longer stay in this house. The cleaning lady said in her mind that the boy would finally leave here. The expression on her face speaks for itself. However, before leaving, Lin Chu expressed his desire to meet with Chen Mo, to which the maid reacted in surprise. The boy had to use his hypnosis power to summon Chen Mo here immediately. His eyes glowed bright yellow. The girl, under the influence of hypnosis, could not even say anything against. She went to fulfill Ling Chu's wish. Our hero asked his father-in-law if he asked his daughter Chen Mo to marry him solely because of the hidden potential inside the boy. To which he gave a clear answer that this was exactly what he needed him for, but now his plan had failed, as the boy had deceived them all. The surprise of the young man knew no bounds. He could not understand how it is possible to sacrifice the happiness of his own daughter for the sake of some Huygen Dan. It is some kind of absurdity. From the father-in-law's words, it became clear that a large number of people cannot achieve even the most basic techniques in their entire lives. He himself conducted a lot of experiments with medical pills for strengthening, but it did not give any results. Once upon a time, they traveled long distances to find the bearer of this unique power and came across Lin Chu, who possessed the potential. But his Huygen Dan will not give much effect when cultivated independently. For this, you need to have a couple, because with paired cultivation, you can reach the Golden Core Kingdom stage in just a few days. That is why they chose our main character. After all, he was the source of such a powerful force with an individual approach. But if Chen Mo hadn't committed such a reckless act, they both would have managed to become masters of the most powerful power during their wedding night. The boy stopped in his resting place. He couldn't even believe that it was possible to possess such power during a pair of cultivation. Of course, he was very sorry that he missed such an opportunity because of some nonsense about treason, although he was sure of his decency. So now that the son-in-law was no longer needed by his father-in-law, it was decided to feed him to hungry dogs and forget about the existence of our hero forever. As the guards captured Ling Chu, he reminded everyone that he was still Chen Mo's husband. Does a father care so much about his daughter's feelings that he would do this to her husband? The angry father-in-law called our hero useless, because he could not even think that she could turn him into such a fool. So the girl will now have to find a new husband. Our hero was very rudely grabbed by the guards and started to be taken out of the room. Despite this, Ling Chu had one more question for his father-in-law. Was it he who decided to frame him in the eyes of his daughter, accusing him of some kind of betrayal, which the boy was afraid to even think about, not that he would do something like that? The man pretended not to understand anything. He only remembers that once Chen Mo told that her boyfriend was relaxing in a brothel with other women. The boy could not believe his ears. How could such a thing come to her mind? But judging by everything, he was deliberately framed in front of Chen Mo. Ling Chu understood that he could no longer tolerate this attitude towards himself, especially since the guards were squeezing his hands too tightly. Our hero remembered Wang Dadong. He was the strongest boxer in the world, shadow enemy, so the boy mentally turned to him to give him his power. But as it turned out, due to the weakness of our hero's body, these memories were useless, since the body of the young man is too weak for such a thing. So the guards continued to do their master's bidding. But the main character was very lucky, because at that time his wife entered the room with a request to immediately stop everything and let her husband go. Ling Chu had never been so happy to see his wife as he was now, since he was about to be killed on the territory of this house. The boy thanked his wife that she came so on time that she could not refuse him, as he apparently cares for her. To which Chen Mo asked the young man to leave her alone, since she did not come here because she loves him or anything like that. The face of our hero was petrified. He could not even expect that his wife could be so indifferent to his existence. At that time, her father was listening to what his daughter was saying to her husband and was glad, because apparently he really doesn't care about her. The same man again gave the order to immediately capture the boy and destroy him. The guards with the most stony faces agreed to carry out their master's order and began to approach their victim. Chen Mo didn't like the idea of destroying her husband, since he was officially her husband after all. And why should it be destroyed at all? But from her father's words, the girl understood that he intended to replace her by finding another man, since he would not want to keep useless people in his family. The girl wondered if Dad really wanted to find her a partner for double cultivation, wasting a lot of time in vain. The daughter expressed to her father her desire to keep Lin Chu as a dog, because sometimes men look so much like them. There is only one nuance: despite everything, dogs do not know how to lie, as her husband did, looking at him suspiciously, said the girl, touching him with her hand. After hearing this, the father still thought about his child's proposal, since it was her wish. However, he completely transferred the initiative into the hands of his daughter. Let him do whatever he wants with him, the man thought, and left him alone. After that, the young people went to Chen Mo's room, where she poured herself a delicious fragrant tea. The boy stood and looked at her. Because he asked a maid named Xiaohei to call her, the girl managed to speak to her father. So now our hero can stay in this house and live on. The girl carefully looked into her husband's eyes and told him that he was a very wicked scoundrel. But the guy could not understand what she was talking about, because he just wanted to protect himself from misunderstanding at the expense of their wedding. To which the girl decided to approach the guy even closer, thus increasing the degree of tension in front of each other. Ling Chu wondered why it was his wife who activated her spiritual power by coming so close to him. That girl was in no hurry to answer. She came even closer to the boy, pressing him against the wall, preventing him from moving to the side. Chen Mo, in a commanding tone, told our hero not to transform, as she knows the fact that he often likes to trick. With every step she took, the tension grew and grew. The protagonist asked the girl to stop. Apparently she has something to say to him and he would like to listen. Looking at him with her gentle and fragile gaze, the girl began to remember her wedding night. She became very interested in what really happened to her husband, while he fell into a coma and was in her for a long time. Since the guy was in no hurry to answer, the girl allowed him to make a choice. Either he will tell everything as it is, or let him bend his head down, after which he will be very hurt.